Your passion for building men and building young men through, that's something that's important to you?
Yeah, hugely. Yeah, I think that's invariably my job. It's to help them develop and become the best they can be. Sometimes they don't even know how good they can be, Peter. Sometimes you need to tell them, take them aside, and when you see stuff that they do well, and you think, man, he's on the right track. They need to know, and they need to know quickly. Sometimes we see it and we don't always communicate it. I think that the art is when you're coaching someone to do what you want them to do, or do something that they need to do to be better. The key is how quickly you give the feedback and how you give it to them. I don't think you can ever move away from just praise, as much praise as you can give. I mean, human beings thrive on it. We're often quick to find all the things they can't do, but man, if you have a different focus around all the things they can do, so you might be 5 things that they're doing really well, and it might be just one little thing that you pick on, rather than pick on 5 things they can't do and talk to them about the one thing they're good at. I think you should always focus on praising them, and when you see something, so you can find a light bulb moment for them. Geez, that's the standard. You need to do that every single time. Then you're on the right track. And I haven't always been that person. I didn't always used to coach like that. It was often, I was growled at when I was at school. If you got growled at, you got growled at to get better. Someone used to be on the sideline, your coach would be on the sideline. I was lucky enough to, come across some coaches that did things a little bit differently, and I thought, well, that's a bit different when someone's actually praising you and giving you a bit of a boost, rather than giving you a clip around the ear.
Have you seen much difference, boys, 20s boys in the 90s, early 2000s coming through now? We always talk about all the different factors with the world at the moment. What's the 20-year-old like at the moment? Down on self-confidence or the opposite?
Yeah, it's a good point. I make judgments around that sort of stuff all the time. I know, I've got children the same age as most of the guys I coach, and everything's externally referenced now, Peter. So, we talk about social media and the phones, their access to information. It's done in a heartbeat. But it's always criticism. They'll get as soon as the game is over, instantly they're looking for some gratification from anybody. So they'll stroll through their comments. They take some of that stuff to heart, rather than sitting beside me or be beside their teammate and having a beer with them and putting their phone in their bag. It's phones out. It's when you externally reference, you don't know who's saying what about you. That frustrates me. But I'm just showing my age group. I don't think you'll ever change that. You're talking about schools now trying to get rid of phones and slowing down the amount of social media that these kids are on. Some of them are on their phones constantly. It can't be good for your self-esteem when you're being judged and you by somebody you don't even know.
Can you speak more to externally reference? I've never heard it phrased that way, but putting it that way is much better than saying, hey, put your phone down. Like explaining to someone what external reference is.
It means that you're being influenced by somebody from outside your realm. So somebody that influences you that you don't know anything about. It's external. It's away from you, rather than being internally referenced. It's being sure of yourself, having good systems, having good pro habits, being confident that what you're doing doesn't need somebody else to have an influence. I might have a mentor or a coach that I respect, or a senior player, but that's enough. You don't need to have the world telling you how to play rugby or how to play sport. You don't need that stuff. So being internally referenced, being really confident about yourself, being able to fulfill a day without having to scroll through your phone to find something to look at. It's those moments don't help you with learning. And I know with teachers at the moment, kids, it's hard for the teachers to get kids to focus in on what they need to do in a classroom, because they're they'd rather be flicking their through the reels on their phone and looking at things that are gone in a heartbeat and have no bearing on them as young kids. So I think that's the key. Being sure of yourself and the people around you and the influences that you can have that are going to make a positive aspect on your life without having to refer to somebody else.